This is Justin Germino from DragonBlogger.com. I'm here to talk to you about using sponsored tweets to promote your service or product on Twitter. I'm going to create a sponsored tweets campaign for my Google Nexus 7 giveaway, show you how to set up an opportunity that other users of Twitter can earn money from by sharing or promoting your message about your product or announcement or service on Twitter, and help increase your brand reach. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have and deposit some money into sponsored tweets. You go and you click on the plus sign and then you deposit some credit. I originally started with about $50 in my balance, and I've ran several campaigns, as you could see, and my balance is now $22.74. So I'm just going to go ahead and create an opportunity with my existing balance, show you how it works, and show you how you have control over your money and where it goes and who you hire to promote your message. The first thing you do is click on Create Opportunity. Here, you're going to choose whether you want to do a cost per tweet, where you basically select which people choose the opportunity, you approve them, and they get a specific payout per tweet, or cost per click. This is where you have a message that has a set budget and just pays a certain amount per click based on how many users click on it. I really like the cost per tweet. It looks to me like sponsored tweets is moving away from the cost per click. I don't even see it on the home page anymore. So advertisers here are going to focus on the cost per tweet. This is where you hire a specific Twitter personality to tweet your message for a set payment for that tweet. Click on Create Op. Now you're going to give a title for your opportunity. In my case, this will be Announcing Google Nexus 7 Sweepstakes. Will be the title. The title is merely, and the instructions are merely information for the Twitter personality on what you want them to do and what you want them to write about. Here for instructions, you want to tell the Twitter personality what you want them to write about. So you would say, tell your audience about a free Google Nexus 7 that your readers can win by entering the Google Nexus 7 Sweepstakes on DragonBlogger.com. And then you want to give the URL on where you want the users to end up. This is the URL that will be shrunk with the sponsored tweet short URL, and it will track all clicks and analytics for you. So you don't need to use a short URL in this because it would cause a double redirect here. And you can also add Google Analytics parameters for additional tracking, which I also do because I have it hooked into my Google Analytics. Click on Next when you're done. Now you set your price quotes or your margins. So the max cost per tweet, this is basically the max you're willing to pay any single person to promote this message. I don't have a lot of advertising budget. If you're a big company, you might want to advertise to celebrities. If you want celebrities, you're going to have to keep this cost per tweet pretty high to get a celebrity who has hundreds of thousands or millions of followers. For me, I do a lot of bulk, so I typically look at like $5 as my starting max per tweet. Sometimes I'll do 10 just to see who's up to $10 max per tweet. Min followers, this is basically how many followers does somebody on Twitter have to have before they can show up in your list for you to hire them. You typically want to have somebody who has a pretty good reach, so depending on your market or your product, if it's very niche, you might be able to go with people who have less followers. I typically like doing 100 or 1,000 followers is a good start. The min follower ratio, this is basically to weed out people who do the Twitter follow back and they have an even number of one-to-one follower to following. Those people tend to have a lot of spam accounts following them or follows who aren't really an engaging audience. So you really want to look for a follower ratio, which means that they have more people following them than that Twitter profile is following. I typically like the ratio to be 0.75, honestly. A little lower is harder to find, but 0.75 is pretty good because even popular Twitter personalities will try to follow some. And finally, the max CPC for your campaign. This is basically the cost per click, the max value of the cost per click you'll get from the campaign. ClickWatch means they have to meet that CPC or they have to retweet the message for free, so I do recommend that, although some of the higher profile accounts on Twitter won't do ClickWatch. Premiums are social media accounts or Twitter accounts in sponsored tweets that are really certified celebrity or real high profile accounts. Those tend to cost a lot more. So again, it depends on the product or service whether or not you want to include premiums. I typically do not include premiums because it's out of my budget. Also, the content rating. Mature adults only, everyone. Obviously, if it's a family-friendly product, it's going to be everyone. You can also have specific Twitter personalities you want to invite and just put their Twitter names here under the invitees. This is if you have specific people in mind that you want to offer this opportunity to. Click on Next, and you can see right now, just based on my parameters, over 18,400 Twitter personalities who registered with sponsored tweets are eligible. So you click on Next, and then you start focusing down to people on Twitter who match your niche or your product focus. So I'm giving away a Nexus 7 tablet, so I'm going to want to find people who A, talk about Android, people who talk about Google, people who talk about Nexus, tablet, iOS, Apple, even though it's a competing product, and, you know, technology. And I'll do one more. I'll do gadgets. There. So, and then you do your locations: United States, Canada, Spain, Italy, United Kingdom, Germany, France, India. Target your location based on where do you want people to click from, where do you want visitors, who do you want to advertise to. Now again, this is the location of the Twitter personality who's promoting the message, not their audience. So you know very well that if somebody's in the US, you have to have a large following overseas, that message is going to be from overseas. So location, you got to remember, this is social media, it's global anyway. This just picks the location of the Twitter personality you're hiring. I typically just say international for everything, and then I pick and choose after weeding through it all myself. Finally, set the timing of the tweets. You basically approve the tweets, and then it tweets as you approve them. You'll tweet the message on the personality's account between certain hours, or start tweeting on a certain day. So even if you approve the message, it won't go out and start promoting until after a certain day. This is good for you hiring a bunch of Twitter personalities like a couple of days ahead of time before product launch, so that way you have them all hired, you have them all picked out, you have them all queued and ready to go, and you kick them out exactly on that launch date. In this case, I've already launched the Google Nexus 7 giveaway, so I'm going to tweet as I approve. If I wasn't going to launch the Google Nexus 7 giveaway until next week, then I would choose the day next week that I was going to launch, and then pre-build all those queued tweets and approved tweets and set them to launch on that date. So you can see there's 9,200 plus matches so far. It's been weeded down quite a bit from the original 18,200, but that's still a lot of potential matches who could promote my product or message on Twitter. So I'll click Next. And here's just a summary of what you selected, and you click Create Op. And now that the op has been created, just click Start Making Offers. Now you'll see a list of everybody who've matched your criteria, and it may look a little daunting at first. There's the various important columns: price, number of followers they have, number of friends they have, the ratio of followers to friends, the CPMF, which is the cost per 1,000 followers estimate, the clicks per tweet. These are, again, if you see metrics here, this means they've done previous campaigns and they have analytics that's been tracked. So generally, if you see blanks, that means they haven't done or promoted a message previously and there's nothing to track. So you typically want to see the estimated CPC from previous campaigns. You want to see the estimated clicks per tweet from previous campaigns, and their ratio of sponsored tweets to non-sponsored tweets to make sure you're not getting into a spam account that just promotes messages. So as an advertiser, one of the things you might want to do is you might want to sort by followers, saying, hey, you know what, I want to see who has the biggest audience and how much they cost. You could see, Top Laughs has 567,000 followers, price $2 per tweet, but they have no previous history of accepting anything. They have no indication that they've ever tweeted out a sponsored tweet, so chances are they're probably not going to accept it unless you get lucky or there's something there. That's kind of, when you see that many followers and that low of a price, it typically means that account's not going to be doing anything on it. But then you see an account for $2 a tweet, 422,000 followers, and you see the advertiser has an estimated 0.01 cents per click. There's been 102 clicks average per tweet that they send out for previous sponsor campaigns. That's a really good one you may consider. Again, if it's a target match, you might want to look at the profile and see if it matches the criteria somebody you want to hire, but that's a good example of having good ratio and return and an investment. Getting a 1 cent per click, 100 average clicks per tweet is a good person to hire if they match what you're looking for in your product niche. And again, you just kind of weed through them. The other thing I'll do often is also just look, who gives you the best, number of clicks per tweet, or out of your criteria. Take a look at who has a good CPC ratio. And again, you might have to double click because it sorts by low to high and high to low. So again, here's somebody with 4,218 followers, $2 per tweet. Average clicks per tweet is 3,493. So that's a tremendous amount of clicks per tweet. That's a really engaging following. So that's somebody you may want to consider hiring from a message. And so you use these tools to choose who do you want to offer the op to. And, you know, not everybody's going to accept it and promote your product and message, but chances are if you do some matches between the Twitter personality and you see they tweeted about the stuff, they already fall into your categories, you know, chances are they'll tweet your message. So you want to hire a bunch of people. You check mark them, who do you want to hire, and I'm just doing this to show you a shotgun approach. And then you can see at the very bottom here, it shows you where you're at. So my available balance is $22.74, but I've selected $78.70 worth of promotions. So what that's going to cause me to do is if I try to make offers, it's going to ask me to deposit more money. So you want to trim that back and know what your budget is. Kind of count up along. See, it's $2, $6, $7, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. 9, 11, and you know where your budget is, know where you're reaching, you know, and then say that's $13 for total reach. Then you click on make offer, and then you let those offers go out. You give it some time. You keep doing through the process. You can go back into an op. You can keep adding more money. You can hire more people and continue the process flow until you feel like you're getting the social media message out enough. Sponsored Tweets does a really good job tracking opportunities. I'll show you the results of a previous one. I did one for my Lenovo laptop giveaway last year, and you see 32 people have taken the opportunity, and these are the people who have taken the opportunity. You could see the results of my campaign. There was 73 clicks from the campaign. It had 522 invalid click. I had an effective CPC of 31 cents per click, which, again, this was earlier on last year when I was learning the campaign a little more. But ultimately, the campaign cost me $23.16. It was a learning experience. I was experimenting with it, and this was done quite a while ago. So you play around with sponsored tweets, you get the promotion out. It definitely builds some information, some social media awareness of your product or brand, and it's worth looking into. Thank you for watching.